This has been bothering me for a few days. Went to dinner with my wife recently to a relatively nice place, $45 per person for mains. Quick side note, we're both in our 30s and both work in hospitality and have worked in kitchens for years, so we generally behave well at restaurants. Anyway, we sit down and are greeted by a young woman, early 20s, who drops some menus and asks if we want to start with still or sparkling water. I looked at the drink menu and saw that the still was $9 and the sparkling was $12. Neither of us care that much about fancy water, so I said tap is fine. She gave a sort of grimace and a small noise. I asked, "Is there something wrong with the tap water?" She replied, "It's very hydrating," followed by an awkward silence. This was very strange to me, so I essentially repeated the question with slightly different wording and once again got, "It's very hydrating." I looked at her with an expression of, "Please explain." More silence. Eventually I asked, "What does that mean?" She said with no emotion, "It will hydrate you." Now I'm feeling weird about the whole situation, and I flat out asked, with no expression or connotation, "What's wrong with the tap water?" "You guessed it. It's very hydrating." I stood up and told my wife, "We're going." Before my wife even realized what was going on, the waitress said, "Have a blessed day," with the smuggest smile I've ever seen. Am I in La La Land here? The triplicated response seems really dumb for someone who is a professional at hospitality. Anyway, my wife suggested I took it too far by leaving. In my opinion, I didn't take it far enough and should have spoken to a manager. But life's short, and I didn't. Am I the idiot? Update 1. My wife was cool with leaving. We have a very equal relationship. If one of us says to the other, "We're leaving," or any variation of that, we trust each other to know we made the right call, and we'll figure out the rest later. Update 2. This is in America. I'm from near there and have had the tap water in the area several times, without issue. Update 3. Types of water. In my area, it's pretty normal to have 3 choices of water at a restaurant. 1. Still. This is fancy water in a 1L glass bottle with no bubbles. This was the $9 option. 2. Sparkling water in a 1L glass bottle was $12. 3. Tap water, free. This option was not presented to me, but is a choice if the diner asks. Now here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It is more than likely that she was judging your choice, thinking you were cheap. Although there is another possible scenario. You know when something is objectively bad, but you're not allowed to criticize it. So you find a way to compliment something random, like you're at a friend's house and they've just cooked a meal that doesn't taste very good. You can't bring yourself to criticize their cooking directly because you don't want to hurt their feelings. So you say something like, "Wow, your presentation is really something else tonight," or "These plates look so fancy." That could be what happened here. Their tap water may not have been of great quality, or it could have had an odd taste. As the waitress couldn't think of a positive way to describe the tap water, she just went with hydrating. Comment 2. I think the waitress was a spy. You accidentally spoke the code phrase, "Is there something wrong with the tap water?" and she gave you the confirmation code, "It's very hydrating." You were supposed to give her the microchip. That's why she kept giving you the confirmation code. Comment 3. I was traveling recently and was sitting in the bar at a hotel. There was a restaurant on the 20th floor, and I asked the bartender if it was good. He told me it was a nice space and great for taking Instagram photos. I asked him if the food was good, and he just repeated the IG line. I got the message and went to eat somewhere else. Suspect you had the same type of thing going on here. Now, for the next story. I was unhappy in my career and found a job across the country that met my needs. I talked to my family, husband, kids, and mother-in-law who lives with us, and everyone agreed to move. Kids and I moved across the country, and 1.5 years later, my husband and mother-in-law have not moved. Hard time selling our house is the reason why, he says, so I have suggested that the house be put under a property management company and rented out, and he and mother-in-law move out. He still refuses, says God has provided for us here. And I'm confused as to why the 180 turn around in moving and wanting me to leave my job and move back to where I was unhappy. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot, but I think there is a bigger issue. How often do you and your husband see each other? Or him and the kids? In the current climate, houses are selling really well. Maybe talk to the realtor yourself to find out why it's not getting any bites. Is it overpriced? Does it need work? Is it accessible for tours? Does it look like a tornado hit it whenever people come to look at it? God has provided for you in two places. I think there's more going on as to why your husband and mother-in-law don't want to move. It's been a year and a half. You've established a life for yourself and your kids. You need to have really open and honest conversations with your husband and think about what's best for you and the children. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Sadly, you now have a choice to make. It sounds like your husband didn't ever plan to move and expected you to get it out of your system then come home. But that is an assumption on my part. Because the house wasn't sold when you moved, there is little incentive for them to move now. At the same time, you have established a life for yourself in your new location. Make sure you are not sending any money back. Set up savings where you are and ensure your own financial freedom. Comment 3. Not the idiot. He agreed, but 18 months is a very long time for him not to follow. How is your marriage? I would reevaluate my relationship. You are happy away from him. Maybe it's time to move on. That is a choice only you can make. Did you move to a big city and your old home is rural? I just don't understand the change of heart from your husband and his mother. Now, for the next story. So over the course of wedding planning, my mom has mentioned her feelings about me, 26-year-old female, taking my fiancé's 29-year-old male last name after we get married, and how she's not happy about it. I am an only child, and she wants me to hyphenate my last name and his instead. I haven't thought much about the comments because they are so few and far between, until fiancé and I flew to visit them for the past weekend. While staying with them, my mom brought it up again with my dad and I in the room while my fiancé was upstairs. She again expressed her desires for me to hyphenate, but I told her I feel that would be too long of a name and too complicated. It would be first, middle, last. She said nobody would say the first last name anyway, but they already gave me a first name that is never pronounced correctly, even by people in my family, because it is a common name just spelled unusually. So I want to make things easier for myself, and honestly, my fiancé's last name is much more aesthetically appealing, but I didn't say that part. I told her I am considering making my maiden name my middle name and losing the one I have now, or just replace my last name with his. She hated the middle name idea because the one she gave me is also hers, so I would be losing a part of her. But I've never been attached to this name because it is also a common name but spelled differently. Renee spelled Raina. I said I'm tired of people constantly saying my name wrong. But she went on that losing either my middle or last name would break my father's heart, while my dad stood there silently, and guilt tripped me. I couldn't make the point that she took my dad's last name when they married, because her maiden name wasn't actually her biological father's, so she didn't feel attached to it. I eventually left the room when the discussion was clearly feeling my way or no way. After coming back downstairs later with my fiancé, Mom asked him if I told him about our discussion, and he replied, "About making her name long?" To which she said, "So you're going to take our name, right?" Which got her a quick, "Ha, no." And after a pause, he explained he likes his last name, and is the only son to carry it. After this, she let it go, and we all left to go shopping like planned, but my mother gave us the silent treatment the entire trip and car ride until the return home. Am I the idiot for symbolically crushing my dad's heart? Did they not think when they had a daughter in the U.S. she would one day follow tradition and change her name? This is not something I ever anticipated being an issue. Now here are the comments. Comment 1. Honestly, not the idiot. It's your decision. By the way, if you're in the U.S., when you get married and sign the papers to legally change your last name, you can, at the same time, legally change other aspects of your name, including the spelling of your first name, if you so choose. Comment 2. Not the idiot. You're an adult and free to do whatever you want with respect to your name. If you have kids, you could give them your maiden name as a second middle name or something, but you're not obligated to do anything just to appease your parents. Comment 3. Not the idiot. What you choose to call yourself after getting married is 100% your business and no one else's. Politely tell your parents to stay out of it. Now, for the next story. I feel really bad and need an unbiased opinion. I, 28-year-old female, am currently living with my sister, 32-year-old female, and my niece, who is 5 months old. My sister asked me to move in with her as she was separating from her partner and needed someone to help with the bills. I cover the majority of rent payments for the house and bills since my sister is not fully back to work yet. On the days she is working, it is usually our mother who looks after my niece. Now, I mainly work from home, and due to how loud both my niece and my sister are, And the job specifics: I wear good noise-canceling headphones. I also have a room with my own bathroom. I have told my sister multiple times if she needs anything, and I haven't responded to a knock, she needs to come into my room and tap me to get my attention. Otherwise, I simply won't hear her and wouldn't know if she needs anything. However, my sister keeps forgetting it. Last Friday was very hectic at my work, so I ended up working 12 hours and had some snacks to keep me going. I had no knowledge of my sister asking anything of me since I sit opposite the door. I also haven't seen her coming into my room since she didn't tap me on my shoulder as we agreed. Apparently, she had to run a few errands at work and had no one to leave my niece with, so she decided to leave her with me for a few hours. Because I had no idea of her plans and she hasn't followed what I have asked her to do, my niece was left unattended for over 3 hours and was crying her eyes out for God knows how long. I only found out about it when my sister returned home. I was still working and had my headphones on, as she ripped the headphones off my head and started shouting at me and calling me an idiot for not attending to my niece, even though I have explained to her I had no idea she was gone or my niece was crying, to add, I don't look at my phone during work hours, and after I checked, there were no messages or missed calls from my sister. I feel really bad about the entire situation, so I wanted to check if I am an idiot, as my sister still wouldn't talk to me, and makes it sound like I did it on purpose. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You need to move out. You moved in to help your sister out. From your post, you are paying most of the rent. At this point, you are financially supporting yourself, your sister, and your niece. So being able to focus on your job is extremely important. If you can't pay the bills, then who will, as it doesn't sound like your sister is able to support herself 100% right now. Instead of feeling guilt for your sister's error, move out. Your sister doesn't appreciate your help. She feels entitled to it. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Let me walk you through this. You have explained your work situation to your sister multiple times. Your sister up and left the house and her 5-month-old baby without telling you. Only when she gets back and discovers the baby crying is she able to remember the noise-canceling headphones. You should honestly give her a warning that if she does this again, you're out. Or if she does this again, you're calling CPS. How incredibly selfish of her. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Your sister is negligent. She didn't even seek your agreement before she left. If she goes at you again, ask her, when did you agree to watch the child? What time did you look at her and tell her it was fine for you to babysit? Or at what time did you text back to say it was okay to watch the child? You didn't, because she didn't actually ask you. She told you and left before she got an answer, which is negligent. Now, for the next story. A few weeks ago, one of my friends decided that she wanted to have a final get-together for the summer. She created a Facebook page for the party and made me an admin on the page. She told me that if there was anyone I wanted to invite that she had forgotten, to go ahead and add them to the guest list. So I'm going through the guest list to see who she's already invited, and everything was looking good until I came across one name. For the sake of this story, we're going to call this girl Ashley B. This girl is a notorious drama queen, and half the people invited to this party have had legitimate issues with her because of her telling lies that she knew full well weren't true when she told them. I privately messaged my friend and asked her why the hell she would invite her to the party, knowing the amount of problems she had caused in the past. She said that she thought I was overstating it and that she didn't want to be rude by not inviting her, as she knew it would get back to her that we were having a get-together. I told her that if she was there, it was certainly going to cause problems and that it would probably be best if we just removed her from the invite. She didn't want to be rude, so she wouldn't do it, but I had no problem being the villain of the story and went ahead and removed her from the page. Well, apparently, she had already gotten the invite because on the day of the party, not only did she show up, but she was the first person there, even before me. Upon getting to the party and realizing that she was there, I literally turned around and walked out of frustration and headed back to my truck. As I was getting ready to leave, another pair of our mutual friends rolled up and jokingly asked if I was calling it quits already. I took a moment and then turned to them and said that yes, I was, and to have a good evening. When they asked me why I was leaving, I told them it was because Ashley was here. It took them a moment, and then they asked, "You don't mean Ashley B, do you?" To which I responded, "Yes, that's exactly who I mean." And with that, they got back in their car and apparently left. I left, and that was the last I had heard of it from that night. But apparently, the word spread quickly, because when it was all said and done, only about 5 out of 24 people invited showed up. And from what I understand, it was directly related to her being there. My friend that threw the party is angry with me and telling me that it's my fault and that I ruined the party. I told her that I would love to know how my choosing to leave, and literally only speaking to 2 people that were going to attend, made it my fault. I told her that from what I had heard, the reason it fell apart was because she insisted on inviting Ashley B. So if anybody was to blame, it was her for inviting her in the first place. She is still on this and wants me to apologize, but I flat out told her I was not going to apologize for something that was not my fault. Am I the idiot? If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.